Yo, what's up guys, Sensus here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do a pretty cool Assassination Rogue one-shot macro. Now before we get started, there's just one thing I want you guys to keep in mind. I don't recommend using a macro like this or any sort of one-shot macro in rated arenas or any sort of serious PvP. Macros like this are just made to have fun with and play around with in casual PvP such as regular battlegrounds or world PvP. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get started. Alright, starting off with the talent setup we're using Nightstalker, Combat Readiness, Elusiveness, Burst of Speed, Prey on the Weak, Mark for Death, and DFA. Now there's only 4 talents here that we're going to pay attention to, and that's Nightstalker, Prey on the Weak, Mark for Death, and DFA. This macro utilizes all 4 of those talents, so you're definitely going to want to pick them up if you plan on trying it out. As for glyphs, we're running with the Glyph of Cheap Shot, the Glyph of Disappearance, and the Glyph of Energy. Alright, moving on to the actual macro. One thing to keep in mind, this macro utilizes every single rogue damage buff in the game that you can get as Assassination spec. It takes advantage of the 50% damage boost you get from Nightstalker, the 10% damage boost you get from Prey on the Weak, and the 30% damage boost you get from Vendetta. Now this macro is a cast sequence macro, meaning that it'll use an ability after you use another ability that's in the same line. It starts off by using Cheap Shot into Rupture and pops your Trinket. It'll then pop Vendetta and use Mark for Death into Envenom on your target. And this Envenom is actually going to be a guaranteed crit thanks to Enhanced Vendetta. Next up, it'll use Vanish into DFA. But one thing I should note here is that you need the PvP 4 set in order to get the 5 combo points from Vanish. Now when you Vanish into DFA, DFA maintains the 50% damage boost that you get from Nightstalker. So it's essentially going to be a 80% enhanced DFA with a guaranteed crit, which can lead to some pretty crazy numbers. And this is where a big chunk of your damage is going to come from. So after DFA, it's set to spam Dispatch because your target should be below 35% at this point. And that's pretty much how the macro works. Now let's go ahead and actually test this out on a target. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. I put together a little montage to demonstrate the macro in a few PvP scenarios. But before I let that play, I want to just touch on a few things. The first is this macro is extremely RNG dependent. There's going to be times where you're going to be hitting a lot harder on one target than you would on another target. And it's also really gear dependent. If you don't have gear, you're not going to be hitting nearly as hard as you would if you were actually geared. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and let the montage play. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And of course, as always, thanks for watching guys. Hope you enjoy.